Kenny, are you ready to upset people?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Man.
All right, guys, I'm here today with three-time UFC title challenger and PFL commentator Kenny Florian. Who better than a guy who's done just about everything in mixed martial arts from every lens in MMA to go through 10 of the most popular martial arts, upset 9 of them, and place them on a tier from S to D based on effectiveness in MMA. Kenny, are you ready to upset people?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Man.
So I think these are placed in alphabetical order. So we'll start here with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. S being the highest, D being the lowest. Where are you placing it in terms of its MMA effectiveness?
All right. Well, perhaps I'm showing a little bit of bias here. I would put it at the top. I'd put it in the S category. I feel like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as it is devised is a pretty complete I guess system. I think obviously you go back to the Hoist Gracie days. It showed that it was very competent in defending itself against all different styles. We don't see the same kind of dominance these days. However, I do think everything from, getting to the clinch to working a takedown, defending the takedown, if you are taken down, you're on your back and immobilizing your opponents and, pulling off submissions. I think, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is still highly effective. I would put it there at the top.
Okay, I did one of these back in the day. We'll probably link it in the description with another outlet we did with John Fitch, so it'll be interesting to kind of compare and contrast and see where you two are at. Boxing, okay. Where are we going to put boxing? And to give it another layer of, I guess, in-depthness, if you're going to put it in S tier, you can either put it in front of or behind Jiu-Jitsu. But where are we going to place boxing on this tier?
Okay. I do think it's extremely important. I would put it, I see the importance in a lot of different of these arts, but I would put it, let's see. I would put it at the level of maybe like a B.
Okay. And we'll give you a chance at the end here if you want to reshuffle once you've seen the total picture, but why a B for boxing?
Cool. So I went with B just because I still feel that you can be very effective without having to be the best boxer in the world. Yes, it would be ideal if you could master the art of boxing, for mixed martial arts. But I think the value of boxing, without, say, having, the ability to throw hands with anybody out there, what it does help is you understand distance. Understanding distance, getting the proper footwork, I think is essential to mixed martial arts. I think that's probably one of the most important aspects of boxing. But as far as, using your hands to have to win, I don't think it's absolutely essential. It's ideal. You definitely want it. Do you need to have it? Do you need to be a master of boxing to be successful in mixed martial arts? I don't think so. But I love the art and science of boxing. I think it's extremely important. But I'm struggling between putting it at the level of A or B. But let's go with B. I think that's about right.
A B for boxing. Eat that, Tyson Fury. Congratulations, the Gypsy King. What are we doing with judo here?
Tyson Fury's the man.
What are you going to do with judo here?
All right. So judo, an amazing martial art as well. I feel like, it carries a lot of the similar aspects to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I think gone are some of the a lot that has kind of been lost in judo is that focus on groundwork as far as, being super technical, whether it's on your back or on top. I think judo has lost a little bit of that. As far as takedowns and stuff like that, it is highly effective. But for mixed martial arts, you don't see as many judo practitioners as we used to. Perhaps it's because, a lot of people just don't, feel the, the need to transition over to mixed martial arts. But I don't know. Let's put it at C.
There it is at C. Okay. Sorry, Ronda Rousey. Karate. What are we doing with karate?
Karate. I would put it at B as well. I think it's a very effective art. Let's see. Let's put it before boxing. Yeah, I'll put it before boxing.
Look at that.
You know, we don't see a lot of, karate practitioners, like we see in, people coming over from wrestling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think a lot because not necessarily because karate has failed, but more because I think instruction has failed to a certain extent. I think there's a lot of sport karate out there, but not a lot of karate that is specifically tailored for fighting, real fighting. Obviously, you have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You have Raymond Daniels, who has, both those guys are as elite as it gets when it comes to striking. And you know what? Let's put it at A. Let's put it at A.
You've convinced yourself.
I'm feeling good about karate right now. Yeah, I think that, when it's done properly, I think when you see the footwork, the range, the trickiness of karate at a high level, I think that it's amazing to watch. And I think we're seeing a lot more people kind of take those techniques and integrate it into their game. I think Conor McGregor was kind of one of those guys who I felt was ahead of the game for a long period of time. Bringing in a lot of that karate kind of style and movement. And again, it's hard to argue when you see Raymond Daniels and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You see the way that they move and the techniques that they're utilizing. They throw so many people off, and when they're at their best, they're extremely difficult to beat. So I like karate in that A spot.
I like the spread that we've got going. Let's see if you do kickboxing a disservice and complete the row. Where are we putting kickboxing?
Let's see. I would put kickboxing. So I guess we have Muay Thai there. So I guess we kind of are differentiating like American kickboxing, for example, from Muay Thai. And I guess with kickboxing, we could put it, let's put it around boxing and maybe before boxing.
Okay. Why does it get the edge over more traditional boxing?
So you have more weapons, right? So with kickboxing, and I guess I'll, label it American kickboxing, where typically you don't see leg kicks. You don't typically see kicks below the waist. You'll see a lot of side kicks, which I think is maybe the most underrated technique in striking. You'll see a lot of good footwork. You see a lot of high kicks. You'll see some knees. You don't see a whole lot of elbows, but you see some really good kick punch combinations. And, for that alone, I think it gives it the edge over boxing. So I think the more weapons you have, the more options you have, the more dynamic you are as a fighter. So I think that's about right there in that spot.
Okay, and next here I have, sometimes I forget my own abbreviations here, but I'm pretty sure that's Kung Fu. What are we doing with Kung Fu?
Okay, I thought you were saying Kenny F.U. I wasn't sure. I was a little worried about that.
No, you're nailing this.
Okay, all right. Here we go. I'll take that too. I mean, if need be, that's fine. I'm open to criticism. So Kung Fu, let's see. I'm trying to keep an open mind, but you don't see
that's a rare change of tone for most of the MMA community I've interacted with, so I appreciate it.
There's so much that I think has been lost over the years, sometimes hundreds or thousands of years. Sometimes the original intent of these martial arts gets lost, not because of the art itself, but maybe the practitioners or the teachers. So, but that said, we don't see Kung Fu or don't see a whole lot of mixed martial artists come from Kung Fu backgrounds. I guess you have your Sanshu, which is, a form of Kung Fu. So I don't know. I like the way they integrate the striking and the takedowns and stuff like that. I think that is a beautiful part of Sanshou, for example. But as far as its well-roundedness, they're certainly not known for a ground game. They're certainly not necessarily known for throwing a whole lot of elbows or knees necessarily. But so there's aspects that I respect, but let's put it at C and after judo.
There we go.
For a lot, yeah, because for a lot of it, it kind of depends on what kind of kung fu you're talking about.
Yeah.
But your traditional kung fu, I might rank even lower than that. But let's say we're talking about Sanshou. Let's put it at after judo.
I like the optimism, Kenny Florian.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, you teed it up, so I imagine it's going high B, if not A or S. What are we doing with Muay Thai kickboxing?
Okay, so for Muay Thai, I would put it. Let's put it after karate. So, Muay Thai, you bring, I think, a hell of a lot of weapons, right? You obviously have, it's called the art of 8 limbs for a reason. You're using your hands, your elbows, your knees, and your kicks. And for that, I think, it offers up a heck of a lot of offense. Defensively, I think, the way that they carry their hands and things, I think is good. They have their clinching aspects for, the closer range of striking, which is different than karate for the most part, and kickboxing for that matter, the American style of kickboxing. However, obviously you don't have the ground aspects in Muay Thai. And I also think it lacks some of the footwork that karate has. So I think karate is a little bit more, they're a little trickier with their footwork and their ability to close that distance. I think with Muay Thai, they're a little bit more deliberate. Their pacing and their range, is a little bit more obvious, perhaps. So Muay Thai is an amazing martial art that I've learned a lot from, and I think it blended really nicely for me, coming from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. So I think Muay Thai is about right there, and there's some debate in my mind going on between karate and Muay Thai, but let's keep it there.
Yeah, you'll be able to lock it in your final answer after the fact. So we'll see. We see what these next 3 do to you. I think this one's a bit of a hack to put in here. It's a bit of a cheat. But what are we doing with sambo? Because they incorporate so much of MMA.
Right. And I also think that sambo, so much of it is in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. However, if you're looking at modern day sambo and the sportive aspects of sambo, I think what they do better than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the way that they integrate their striking into their takedowns. I think that's really cool. They don't have all of the techniques of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I think there's a tremendous amount of value in, whether you are a striker or a grappler, in how to deal with the other style, right? How do you deal with a striker if you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy? How do you deal with a grappler if you're a striker? Some of these other martial arts don't really have that answer, but I think for that reason, I think sambo should be rated pretty highly. Not as diverse with its submission offense and defense, but let's put it up there with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu after Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because that's probably biased, but let's put it there.
Okay, well, I'm glad. I was wondering there. I actually muted myself. I was wondering there if you're going to betray your BJJ brethren, but not quite. Exactly. Not quite on this day.
Exactly.
All right. Final 2. When I think of Taekwondo and MMA, I often think of obviously like Anthony Showtime Pettis. What are we doing with Taekwondo?
So Taekwondo, I think, is very effective when done properly. Especially in regards to its range and its speed and how you throw the techniques. I was really disappointed, watching high-level Taekwondo this past year in the Olympics. It looked really, really bad because I think the way that the sport has evolved. But as an art, I think TKD does have value. I think Taekwondo does have value. A buddy of mine, Tan Lee, who is the current champion over at ONE FC, has shown a very high level of Taekwondo. He's one of the best strikers in the world in his weight class, in my opinion. And he certainly has used it, grew up training in Taekwondo. Anthony Pettis, you mentioned, and a lot of people who have trained in Taekwondo in that background, they're able to carry that speed and that footwork and those leg attacks. Not as great, not as well known for its hand techniques or its elbow techniques, but as far as kicking, I think Taekwondo does have value, and I would put it let's put it ahead of wait a second. Let's put it ahead of judo.
Okay, so calling it a C, but a high C. C plus.
Yeah.
All right, last one here. Obviously, they often say it's one of the best bases for people getting into MMA.
Yes.
Where does wrestling go on this tier list?
So wrestling, I think, has tremendous value. I think that not only for its technique and its ability to kind of be the glue of mixed martial arts in a lot of ways, which is kind of an overused cliche, but I think it's largely accurate in that, you know, you can control where the fight goes. Assuming you are the better wrestler, you can keep it on the feet if you need to, or you can take it to the ground if you need to. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu certainly lacks the technical know-how and nuance of wrestling. You know, there's no question about that. I think that wrestling for mixed martial arts is a little bit better for sure than judo as well when it comes to takedowns. Judo is a great counter to wrestling in a lot of ways, but I think as far as, you know, mixed martial arts, you know, it gives you more variety. You know, you can do throws in wrestling. You can also do leg attacks in wrestling. You can do, you know, lower level attacks in wrestling. The escapes, the control are all essential parts of fighting. And for that reason, let's see, I would put wrestling. It's definitely between S and A. Okay. Where would I put it? I'd either put it first at A or I'd put it third. Let's put it at S, and let's put it after Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Sambo.
Wonderful. All right. We have made it to the finish line, Kenny Florian. Let's take a look at what you've concocted. I'll give you one last chance if you'd like to rearrange anything. In order, at S, we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, and wrestling, followed by A, karate, and Muay Thai. In the B's, we have kickboxing and boxing. At C, we have Taekwondo, Judo, and Kung Fu. And no one got a dreaded D ranking because Kenny is just too nice of a guy. Are you satisfied, as much as you can be, with what you've drafted here?
Gosh, I mean, I could sit here and doubt myself for the next couple hours, but we don't have time for that. So I like it. I like it where it is for the most part.
Boom. We will lock that in. Kenny Florian, thank you so much for doing this and for staying a little late with me. Before I let you go, is there anything you want the people to know in terms of where they can find you or any of that good stuff?
Yeah, thank you. Let's see, for those of you guys who are interested in martial arts and learning martial arts, I have a YouTube channel if you want to check it out, you know, under Kenny Florian. You know, where I talk a lot about jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts on there and show various techniques. If you guys want to check that out, I have an instructional coming out as well in jiu-jitsu, and my website should be out soon on that. And you can find me on social media at Kenny Florian. And that's pretty much it. I appreciate it. And thanks for the support. Guys, if you liked Kenny's breakdown of these martial arts, please hit the thumbs up button or the thumbs down button. Either way drives up engagement. Let us know what you think should be the top tiered martial art. If you haven't already, please subscribe, tap the notification bell. Kenny Florian, who better to do this? Please check out all his great work on his YouTube channel, the podcast, as well as all the great stuff he's doing with the PFL as we head into the season finale. Kenny Florian, thank you so much, my man. Thank you.